The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Commission meeting, May 13th, 2020.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday, May 13th regular scheduled county commission meeting. And we all please stand and join us in the pledge. And James, would you lead?
Certainly. Would you follow me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as per the norm, we'll take this first moment for a moment of silence or meditation, prayer, whatever you like. So we'll take that first moment, please. Okay, we'll open the meeting, and the first item on the meeting on page 2 is the public comment. Is there any public comment on the phone this morning? Okay, seeing none on the phone, there's anyone in the audience? Only George. George, you're up, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2C3, you're to consider price and membership changes for the Aquatic Center. The Commission needs to deny that request and bring back the room tax allotment that was given to the golf course. The swimming pool serves a greater population of older and younger citizens that are financially challenged. The golf course does not. It's a luxury, not a necessity. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2CB6B, you're to consider purchasing CPR units from Allied 100. On one of the quotes, it states current price of $1,020, and then your price of $1,570. Is there a typo, and which are you going to accept? Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2C6F, you're to consider approval of the City of Ely's request to enter into discussions regarding possible modifications of the police services contract. Don't give them a dime. They're not collecting the money that they allotted or they're capable of picking up. They're selectively enforcing the law. I've been months trying to get a building permit, which I can't do, and that needs to stop. You're that building inspector. Stop these games. I don't want the police department, sheriff department coming down and issuing citations to my tenants. And I've lost 2 now. I've lost 2 contracts. And yet we have Keith Carson putting in modular homes in a trailer park. Doesn't meet the minimum code, city or county. As I ride around, I'm seeing squatters now, people coming in. I don't know if they're trying to just get away or if they're getting ready for the construction projects. They're just putting their trailers, RVs on empty lot, just up the street here. Where's the water, sewer connection? Who's paying landfill? That's pretty sloppy on the city's part, and I'm afraid it's starting to reflect on your part. You have people that you're paying to do their job and they're not doing it. You got to stop that. Either that or maybe you want to do something else. Mr. Chairman, I reported to Mass. Keith Carson keeps horses within the city limits and is in violation of the city NRS codes. There are times when he brings in donkeys and cattle. Again, according to the planning commission. How many times we got to be told that? Where's the building inspector? That needs to stop. Again, we either have rules and regulations or we don't. Mr. Chairman, you know who sits on the county commission Does he have to account for the missing rental monies from S&S Railroad?
We've discussed S&S already, we gave you the cities as a railroad, county has nothing.
No, I understand that, but they receive over $240,000 through tax monies. They do not operate under the Nevada open meeting law. There's rumors of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands.
We've discussed this
It's a
already.
concern of this community. Let me ask you, if you just watched the news, the governor stating that you got 740 million shortfall, possibly $1 billion, and it's gonna cost this community. And here we're not collecting the money.
We have
from
an
taxpayers.
agenda item on that today, so we'll be looking at that.
I want some action.
George, the railroad is the city's, not ours.
Revenue is everybody's problem, and I don't want my property taxes going up. You understand me?
Thank you.
I'll be back.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody on the phone? We have no one else in the audience. Is there anybody on the phone for public comment? Do we have anybody?
Shane has one.
Shane, have a public comment?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on, as you know who, I would like to comment on George's comments on the money for the railroad. During the time I was the chairman of the Nevada Northern Railroad Board of Trustees, the north end of that line was governed by a separate board. There was an enterprise fund board that handled everything north of McGill Junction and was completely out from under the purview of myself and the board of trustees. And so I think he needs to address the members of that board.
No, not true.
We're not in debate here. That was public comment. Thank you.
Well, it's wrong. I just wanted to correct it.
That is not wrong.
Okay. Is there any other public comment out there, Mike?
No, sir.
Okay. Hearing none on the phone and seeing none in the audience, we're gonna move on with the regular county commission. We have a 9:30, a 10, 10:30, 11. Well, we're gonna go to page 3A, county commissioner tab. Okay, so we'll skip over those timed items because we're not there yet. So on page 4, item A is county commission. Richard Howe, chairman. Item A is a discussion for possible action, the approval to send letters or something else to recognize and appreciate Ken Ross, Bald Mountain Mine, KGHM, Robinson Mine, and/or other local businesses who make major donations to the community. This was brought to my attention, and every time we do, we have real supporters of this community, and it's always nice to recognize them in some way. We just had one from a subcontractor at Robinson Mine who's gonna donate up to $3,000, and I think we, through discussions, we decided that maybe that they just wanted a suggestion. We thought maybe help the senior center with their meals because they're really increasing that, so we're gonna get a donation from that. But all the other entities that donate to us, all the mines are real good to us, are the best they can be, and some of these subcontractors. So it is nice, it will be nice if the commission would like to just make sure we send letters of appreciation. I don't know that there was a suggestion of maybe plaques or something like that, but at this juncture where we're in really a budget type thing, I think we'd be better off sending letters to each one of them and always recognize, I think that's a valid point, to always recognize those people who donate to our community in financially or with in-kind services. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'd like to hear from the commission what you think. I mean, do you guys have an idea how you'd like to recognize some of these, or that we should recognize them?
Never a bad thing to send a nice letter of appreciation. I
Yeah, I
think
think
that's
that's.
a big deal.
Recognition is always a wonderful thing.
And you think the letter of appreciation at this time, because of the budget, blacks, everything, so letters?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's always good to acknowledge.
You know, I think a letter is, acknowledgement is what it's about, whether, no matter what form it comes in.
Absolutely.
And I agree. So at this point, I would for a motion to send letters recognizing all of our vendors, Bald Mountain and KGHM, all of them. So let's do that. Let's get a motion for that.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve sending letters, right?
Yes.
A motion by Lori and a second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Madam Chairman,
Missed a 9 o'clock.
Oh, I did.
Slipped in
it's
there.
a double-sided agenda today.
Pardon me?
We're saving costs, so the agenda is double-sided.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I missed the 9 o'clock, and I know Brett's on the phone, so that's my mistake. Let's go back. We do have a 9 o'clock, and it's a timed item, page 2, notice of timed items that, fire commission, we'll recess the county commission meeting and open the fire commission meeting. And at this point, we would ask for public comment on the fire commission meeting, if there's any public comment on the fire commission meeting. Any on the phone? Any in public? George, you got anything to say about the fire commission?
No, sir.
So we'll move forward. Item 1 on page 2 is discussion update on fire district progress with Brett North, Fire Chief, and Ross Rivera, Ely City Fire Chief. Brett, are you and Ross on the phone?
He's on there.
Brett?
Don't know if he stepped away or not.
Ross, are you on there? You see him? Ross, you want to give us an update while we're looking for Brett?
Things been going well. We've gotten busy, several calls every direction. Volunteers been great. Cooperation in between agencies been really good. We seem to have not run into any snags. We've been handling everything just right. Things are starting to move a little more now that this COVID's been lifted a little more, so we're seeing a little more action.
Okay.
And our working with Brett North has been great. It's just nice to communicate and collaborate with the county and get things done for the community.
Okay, thank you. Brett, are you there yet? I'll
Probably
I'll go ahead and go to item 2, and when we can hook up with Brett, we'll have him give his spiel on his progress. So let's go on to page 2, item 2.
birds.
It's discussion for possible action, direction on the FY 2021 fire district budget. Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you. The fire district budget was submitted as it was. There are things that were cut from this year's budget that I didn't know if the county commission wanted to readdress. I will be having a special meeting, fire commission meeting at our next meeting, once I get your answers, to put in or take out numbers as you see fit. There is an interlocal agreement between White Pine County and the White Pine County Fire Protection District, which was taken out of this year's budget and has not been readdressed in next year's budget. That is how we do our central services allocation between the special revenue funds and the general fund. This is how we take care of that with the fire district. It provides for HR services that they're not directly billed for, finance services, maintenance services, IT services, and DA services. This was an interlocal agreement that was pulled out as we went into this new interlocal agreement and new model for the fire district. Generally, in its first year, I believe it generated somewhere around the amount of $65,000 to the general fund for those services. Now that number would be coming down because that was based on number of FTEs and total budget, and both of those have decreased over the past year. Did you want me to look at reinstituting that contract for money back from the fire district for general fund provided services? Or do you want me to bring that back to cancel that contract and just provide those services without any exchange of money?
Mike?
I don't know why it was actually removed. Legally, it's a separate agency like Eureka County. Like, we really need to have that contract in place. It's kind of what every side of whatever side of the fire district we were on during the merger, this is a really important thing to have in place.
And I think the more money we can get back into that general fund, or sustain the money we do have going in, the better off we are, for sure.
I do believe that it is correct and appropriate to keep it in place, because otherwise you are subsidizing another agency without properly recording that, and you should be. So I would prefer, if it's okay with the county commission, to go ahead and reinstitute that contract and bring those numbers back to you at your next meeting for approval. The other thing I have concerns about as we look at what's going on with the overall budget is the capital improvement projects. What I have asked Bill Calderwood to do is to move forward with the engineering services for design of all three projects in this fiscal year as previously authorized by the county commission, but to stop at the point of the bidding process, to not bid those projects out. My preference is, if we come into some kind of financial issue next year, to do the one at the McGill and put off the two parking areas until we know that those revenues over there are gonna be stable. I don't believe they will be adversely impacted, but we're in an unknown time right now. So I hope that under the financial emergency directives that you gave me, that's what Bill has agreed to do, and I think that's proper and prudent. And then if we are ready to move forward, I think we should move forward definitely with the one project, which is the showers and bathrooms to provide for decontamination up at McGill, and then look at those other two projects in light of what we see for revenues.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. Part of that is there'll be an engineer's cost estimate that'll be a lot tighter than you'd previously seen. So that'll be, before that, we'll be able to give you those dollar amounts. This is what we're looking at for each specific project.
And it might make them more affordable, and it might make them more unaffordable. So we really need to look at those numbers before we commit to the bid process.
I'm just concerned that, our word is on the line at this point. We looked those people in the eye at every one of those meetings and, said, we're gonna get this stuff done. We put it off long enough. We had it in the budget last year. We could have spent the money, but because of some dumb NRS or whatever, we couldn't spend the money we had. We committed to them that we were gonna do it. And, unless it creates some real bad, unrecoverable problem, I think we ought to suck it up and figure it out, that we ought to make it on that word to do it. No excuses.
I don't think the impact of COVID-19 is necessarily considered an excuse. You know, unfortunately,
Yeah, but the people, you know what, I'm with you, but as a citizen, as people in the fire district that have been told, given excuses and put-offs for years of why this can't be done, and we sat there and said, we're not gonna make any excuses this time, we're gonna do it. And we have the money to do it. To suddenly turn around and be like, well, due to unforeseen circumstances, we're gonna take that extra money and hold on to it just in case. I think there's no way to make that look good, and there's no way to make them feel good about it. That's my opinion.
Elizabeth, would you expand just a little bit so far as the NRS as to why? Just for those that are on the phone, that it wasn't just to hang on to the money?
Correct. Okay, so the NRS, it's not some silly NRS, it's the Local Government Finance Act. It requires that we can only appropriate certain funds based on how we budget.
Right.
And so we are restrained from taking any money that's available and just spending it. It has to be planned expenditures. So basically, those funds were not available. We have made them available in next fiscal year based on preliminary engineering estimates. We don't know what those will come out to be. We're taking our fund balance based on what we submitted as a tentative budget down to about $1,000,000 and I believe it's $87,000. And that includes your $1 million in catastrophic loss. I've been notified by BLM that they will be seeking $85,000 between the three different federal agencies involved in the Strawberry Fire. That will impact that $1 million reserve for federal cost share that is required. Then you have the 87, so you're bringing your spending fund balance down to about $2,000 if you want to replenish your $1 million back, because like I said, your ending fund balance will be $1,087,000, the way it's currently calculated based on the tentative budget. That doesn't include the interlocal contract, and that doesn't leave any room for increase in engineering services. So if we want to make this happen, we would have to look at renegotiating the interlocal contract to bring those numbers down, to not reimbursing your $1 million catastrophic loss, which would still leave you $915,000, which is probably adequate, being that you're now on your NDF contract, which kind of serves as a reinsurance to the county, and ensuring that none of these projects come in over budget. You can probably do that, but you will have to be really tight on this budget all throughout the year. And that's assuming no changes on the revenue side. On the plus side, on the revenue side, I have been told by Brett, and he did inform me of this, that they are going ahead and working with the BLM right now to rent out some of our equipment on the, is it the Taft
Yeah.
Fire?
Tap.
Taft Fire, I'm sorry, I knew I was getting that wrong. But anyways, he will be getting some cost recovery from that, and if he can keep that going throughout the summer, it will enhance our revenues. I believe the franchise fee will remain strong. I don't think unless we have mine closures, that will reduce. But these are all the factors that I'm looking at going, you got a really tight budget, and the minimum I would advise is that you wait until you see what those actual engineering estimates are, and then make a decision from there.
And another item that's not unforeseen is that 2.2 million, the net proceeds money that we had, it's affecting our budget as we go in, because how do we make up for that? I mean, this isn't one of those things where we're just saying, well, we gotta put it off another year, kind of like the state highway does. They did the same thing with our highway projects, but we are in a financial quandary right now that was really unforeseen. I mean, it was a bombshell a week and a half ago that hit us hard, and I think everybody understands this, but it's a $2.2 million drop in our budget. So as we look to doing the things, we've committed, and I agree with you, and we gave our word on all these things, and that's the right thing to do. But this whole last 8 weeks or 2.5 months has just turned the world upside down everywhere. And our budget that we're going into is gonna be a tough one to meet, to say the least. So, going forward, Elizabeth is right with, I think, getting Bill to get the engineering estimates, let's see what they are, let's find out where we're at as far as the revenue and that from the BLM and some of these other sources, and see which ones we can do, and maybe we can do the McGill bathrooms, and I agree, that's our #1 priority, is the McGill bathrooms and shower. And maybe next year, if we run out of money, we still can do the Lund, Baker, and, what was the other one?
Just
London Road.
Yeah. So anyway, with that guidance from Elizabeth and even what Bill's going to be doing, getting the engineering estimates, I think, that let's see what we got. Let's see where we're at. I mean, we're not shutting off. We're really trying hard to make this budget work. It's going to be a real hard thing to do. You know that. We all know it.
I believe we'll make every effort that we can to see to it that if it's viable, that we'll move forward as we can.
Okay. Is there any other comment on what Elizabeth is doing on the fire district budget?
I agree with Ian, this is a promise that we made, that we would carry through and do this. And I wanna see us do it cautiously, but if it is possible, if we can get through this and we can get through with a tight year and still fulfill that promise, I want to see it done.
Yeah, I agree with Shane and Ian, and we should leave it in the budget and then go forward as we're talking, and then, if there is, some sort of a crazy thing that comes down from the state or something, then we'll have to reassess, but I'd say keep going forward.
Well, I don't think we talked about necessarily taking it out anyhow. At least I didn't think we were gonna.
No, the
We're
only
just
thing
gonna-
that I requested is that Bill hold from bidding the projects until we actually see what those numbers look like,
Once
And-
those estimates come in.
when the actual estimates come in for, so we have a better idea, and then if
And what's
we
that
are,
date?
I'm sorry?
What will that date be?
I already have one of them. I can get, after this meeting, I'll get with the engineers, see how close they are. If they're close to getting them done, perhaps we can have them on the next meeting. And that'll be, that estimate will be pretty tight. It should be fairly close
Okay.
for you guys. That'll help you make that decision.
And then we can consider all of these things, the interlocal agreement, what that looks like, the actual prices on those, the request from BLM for the $85,000, and put that all together and come up with a final budget. I'm not asking you to remove them from the budget. I do understand the importance of all of those meetings we attended and the word we gave out to those. I just want to make sure that we are in a good situation related to the budget for your fire district. I also have concerns because we do have upcoming agenda items, I believe, from the city related to both their want to discuss police and their want to renegotiate for next year the fire contract and get out of it the subsequent year. So I do have overwhelming concerns related to the fire district, and I think it's important that we monitor that budget very closely because we may need to make and adapt to some changes in the near future.
I wanna clarify, they do not wanna get out of the contract the following year.
That's
Can't
what
say
the
that.
agenda
Nope.
says.
Nope, they're following the contract and doing what they need to do to renegotiate it, protecting their rights.
Okay, on this particular one, this is an action item, so the direction, in listening to what Elizabeth said as far, and Bill, as far as the engineering part, that we move forward, can I get a motion to move forward with the, budget for the fire district? Or what would you like to do?
Well, I think we give a direction, I don't know, we need
Yeah.
it's something that we give a direction on where we wanna go, and we'll approve it at the next meeting, so I don't know that we need a motion on this one.
Do we want to make this just a
Well,
discussion item?
we needed to go ahead and put the allocations, or put back the agreement with the fire district and White Pine County.
Yes, so my understanding as to your direction is you are okay with me putting on hold the bids until such point as we have good numbers to use for next year's budget. That I am to go ahead and evaluate the interlocal agreement, bring that number back to you, and provide you with an overall, what that looks like as far as impact in next year's budget and next year's ending fund balance. Does that sound about right?
So can I make this a discussion item?
You know what, if we just get a motion to have Elizabeth, carry forward that plan on the fire district budget.
I'll make a motion for Elizabeth to carry forward on that plan for the fire district.
For a second. Motion by Lori and a second by Travis. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay,
Brett, are you on there yet?
we'll get to him at
'Cause
the end of the
I know he
meeting.
was planning on participating.
We'll just continue on it. Before we close the fire commission, I'll go back to Brett again and ask him to speak. But for right now, we're gonna go on to item 3.
Are we,
Wait.
if I can interrupt real quick, we have 11 people in here.
We did.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Are we okay, Mr. District Attorney?
No, we are not okay. Bill, do you have anything after this item? A couple things?
Throughout the whole
He's
agenda.
throughout the whole thing.
Okay, I can step out and call in.
This is ridiculous.
I know.
I say we stay with 11. I don't really care.
I just can't enforce it locally if I don't enforce it here myself, so I'll step out.
I don't really care if you enforce
I
it
know that.
locally. You're here.
So,
I'll step out in the hallway.
One should in public.
yes.
Well, George can hang out for a little bit, and then when he wants to leave, I'll come in.
I'll leave a little later.
Okay, I'll
Won't
just
be
hang
long.
out in the hallway. You guys can ask me questions if you need
Is
to.
there a specific item that you want to hang on to, George, that you want to be here for?
Yeah, I was gonna see what, the young lady from, Vegas was gonna say.
Would
That's
you-
at 9:30.
Would you entertain
Can you-
just stepping outside till she comes on and then coming back?
Yeah, I can,
Just have, we need our DA here.
that's fine.
And we will make sure that when she comes on, you're called in.
Does that mean with my, building permit?
Just,
Yeah, I just think it's important to have Mike here.
sorry.
That's all right. That's the best thing to do. He can come on at the time item at 10. thanks for coming in. So we're gonna go to page 2, item 3, is discussion update on the Cherry Creek Fire Station. Bill Calderwood.
Good morning. The first picture, I always do pictures. First one is the Cherry Creek entry into the station. We contracted out, put some new sheeting down, and then some metal roofing. The second picture we have, the backside is just a galvanized tin building that was constructed out of telephone poles. I dug down on a couple of the telephone poles, run the drill in there, at least the ones I sampled, the two I sampled, they were solid. We had to do some flashing on some of that metal on the backside, it was coming loose, and there was a couple gaps that the insulation was showing. We addressed all of those. The third and fourth pick, because of the roof did leak, the sheetrock was all falling down. We went in there, cut all the sheetrock that was hanging out down, replaced that sheetrock, mudded it, painted it so to preserve that mud. So that's picture 3 and 4. And the final picture, that apparently they had gotten windows from somewhere else. The window frames were considerably wider as far as their thickness than the actual walls. So the insulation was coming back. So you could see when you looked on the side of the window, you could see the insulation all the way around. We just tucked it in, and then we just put some rough cedar around the windows to seal it up. Overall, now we cleaned the whole building up. It looks good. The condition is, for what the building is, it's in pretty good condition.
Looks awesome, Bill, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will relay that to the maintenance. Any questions?
That's an update. Anybody got a question or a comment? If not, we'll move on. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Item 4, discussion for possible action, the approval of monthly financial reports for April 2020.
And those are included in your packet. It's one of the things I'll be reevaluating as I come forward with your final budget proposal for the next meeting, is how are those running, and can I decrease our estimate for this year as far as what we're going to expend? I'll work with Fred on that. And so our fund balance may be higher than anticipated if revenue or expenditures are running low and revenues are running high. So I will take a look at that, but the numbers for April are in your packet. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions by anyone? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the monthly financial.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Travis and second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passed unanimous. Item 5, discussion for possible action, the approval of budget transfers within and between functions or programs within a fund that do not increase the total appropriation of the fund or adjust for approved grants/agency funds. Elizabeth.
Thank you, and this is just a standard that I have to provide for you. This is, the only change was to provide for those engineering processes at the 3 different capital improvement projects. And I'm just looking for approval. It's required disclosure.
I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second. Motion by Lori, second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Item 6, discussion for possible action, the approval to place an ambulance at the Duckwater Tribe for COVID-19. Brett. Brett, are you on the phone?
No, he's having issues. He said he's gonna drive down here.
So. what do
Good
we-
morning, Duckwater is on the Zoom meeting.
Okay, let's go from Duckwater then. Who's there from Duckwater?
Good morning, this is Brenda O'Neill, the health manager, Duckwater Shoshone Tribe.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Brett's not on, we handle this item.
Pardon me?
Is Brett not on?
He's gonna drive down because he's having trouble getting on Zoom.
Are you on, and we're on item 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you like me to handle it until he gets
Yes.
here, since Duckwater's on?
Please
Okay.
do.
So,
District Attorney Weeble is gonna be on with the Duckwater Tribe. Go ahead, Mike.
all right, so Brett has been communicating a lot with the Duckwater Tribe. We had brought this up a couple months ago about the extra ambulance that we had sitting in McGill. So it's ready to roll, and the Duckwater Tribe can absolutely utilize it. They have personnel to run on it, and it'd be like one of our volunteers running an ambulance out of a month kind of thing, okay? Having it placed there is gonna serve the public and also help relieve some of the city and our volunteers from running to that corner of the state. to lend those services. Brett and our office has already been working on an MOU with Nye County and also an agreement with the Duckwater about how to get reimbursed for some of the supplies and stuff they use. So we're trying to cover every angle, and we just need the commission, the fire district's consent to lend that vehicle to them for that service, which benefits the county.
Did you get that there down in Duckwater? Did you hear Mike?
Yes, we did. We've been in contact with them, emailing back and forth, so we are aware of where we are right now with getting this finalized, so thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and try to get a motion and pass this right now. So I'm looking for a motion to approve to place an ambulance at the Duckwater Tribe.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion by Shane and a second by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Pass unanimous. We'll get that to you as quick as we can. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you. We appreciate you working with us on it.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay, Brett is on his way down. Mike,
Yeah.
can I recess the fire commission meeting, move on with the meeting till Brett gets here, and then all we need from Brett now is his update?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I'm going to recess the fire commission meeting and reopen the county commission meeting to page 3, and we are right on with the 9:30, perfect. 9:30 proposed ordinance 510. Item 1 is a public hearing, discussion, second reading for possible action. The White Pine County Board of County Commissioners will take public comment and consider approval of a proposed ordinance 510, bill number 03.25.2020, an ordinance amending Title 8 of the White Pine County Code, declaring that wild horses are not given higher status than cattle, sheep, or other authorized livestock within White Pine County. Travis?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make disclosure, my family runs sheep and cattle, but this ordinance will affect all ranchers within the county, so therefore I will be voting and commenting on it. As you all remember, we talked about this a couple months ago. The reason late coming back is just with the, the non-printing of the paper and stuff like that, for Nicole to get postings, but got it back. And, if anyone has any questions, we say no changes from before.
Anyone got any questions of Travis and what we're looking at here? To not give the wild horses any more authority than sheep, cattle, or other livestock. So that's we're having a vote here, right, Mike?
Yeah, and it's public hearing.
And it's a public hearing, so anybody on the phone have anything to comment on this public hearing on the wild horse and the cattle? Anybody, Mike? George, do you have any comment on it?
I do. I really don't understand why you folks are doing this. County law cannot supersede federal law. What is this, utility thing or what? I'd like to know what the basis is. Thank you.
To the extent that there are some openings for local regulations and or any loopholes or any hiccups at the federal level, this will allow us to regulate livestock and protect ranching properties and other rights that our community has from unregulated and overbearing nuisance at the hands of the federal government.
Any questions of Mike on that? Hearing none and seeing none, I'll look for a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance 510, bill number 03.25.2020.
Okay, motion by Lori.
I'll second that, just because I think they're all equally delicious.
Second by Shane. Second by Shane. Motion by Lori and a second by Shane. Any further comment by anybody on the commission? Hearing none, I'll look for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Pass unanimous. Thank you. That's
It's
9:30. Now,
Thank
Ken,
you,
we're gonna
Travis.
continue on with, we're gonna go back to page 4, I believe it is. I think it was page 4. As we go forward, item B, which is elected officials, we did A already. Scott Hemorrhoid, Sheriff. Discussion for possible action approval of White Pine County Sheriff's Office to sell a 2004 Harley Davidson motorcycle, FLH TPI, or that one, TPI. Minimum bid will start at $1,500. Bidding will be a sealed bid bid process. All bids will be delivered to the White Pine County Court on and before May 26, 2020 by 4:30 p.m. Bids will be opened on the May 27th regular scheduled White Pine County Commission meeting. Monies received from the sale will be deposited into the task force revenue account. This is the same account that the motorcycle was originally purchased from. Okay, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Scott, are you on there? Do you want to update any other information on this?
I am, thank you, Commissioner. This was the same motorcycle that we tried to sell a few months ago. Unfortunately, we didn't have any bids on the motorcycle. Since that time, I've had several individuals actually approach me who wanted to purchase the motorcycle straight out. So I spoke with District Attorney Weevil. He suggested that we get it back on the agenda for the commission once again to approve to put this out to bid to sell the motorcycle. So that's what we're doing.
Any questions by anybody?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Travis to approve,
Second.
second by Ian. Any other discussion by anybody? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Thank you, Scott, also passing on. There's Brett. So right now, I'm going to, let's see, what am I doing here? I'm gonna recess the county commission meeting, reopen the fire district commission meeting, and go back to, page, what page?
Come on.
Page 2.
Come on down.
Yes.
Just
Go
the-
back to page 2, I'm gonna reopen the regular scheduled fire commission meeting, and, do we go back to public comment right now, Mike?
No, we just go back to item 1, just looking for the update, Brett.
Okay, we're going for item 1, your update from Brett North, we already heard from Ross.
Russ been busy,
Okay,
trying to do 2 things at once,
yeah, good job.
but do not. Plus, I'm gonna do my testing for my EMT class this weekend, so I've had these other things going, plus doing EMT stuff, so I'm getting it. But I reiterate what Ross said earlier, that everything with the city's working great. Having a lot of really good cooperation with volunteers and everything. Incidents, you don't even know the difference with them. So that's going good. Did you get my backup material?
I'm reading it right
Reports?
now. Looks good.
Yeah,
Did
so,
did you want to talk, make any comments about the TAC fire and also the petroleum fire
yeah, the
that you had?
tanker fire
Tanker
last
fire.
Friday, that was quite an event, but handled it, no problem. City, county worked together on it very well, so. Taft fires is going on right now, we got McGill out there with their water tender under a resource order, so we're getting some revenue on that, so that'll be good. And, talking with Ray Maces a lot more now with BLM, so I think we're gonna get back into, at least with water tenders this summer. I don't know about actual firefighting with it yet or not, so we gotta get some guys trained up, since we got a lot of new people, and it takes time to get them through, so.
Do you have a lot of new people? You get some movement on the volunteer side of things?
Yeah, we'll pick up 1 or 2 now and then,
Excellent.
yeah, so that's coming along.
Well, when all this settles down, my offer still stands to sit down. I'll bring my laptop to your office and we'll get some posters made.
Yeah, we'll get some flyers out there.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for working with Bill on the Cherry Creek, that looked really nice, those pictures.
Yeah, that was all the maintenance crews have done that, so. I haven't got a chance to look at it yet. I was close by when we was at the tanker fire, but ceilings went on my mind at that time. So,
We appreciate all you're doing to try to wear 2 hats. You're doing a good job, Brett. And, you know, I think we all appreciate the fact that you come to the meetings and you give us your reports. And if you don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and move on. Do you have anything else you want to add? To
not right now.
Duck water.
I don't know why my phone didn't work. So.
We just did duck water.
Uh-huh.
We just passed that to allow you, Mike, and Duckwater to come into an agreement, so we did pass that while you were en route,
Okay.
so that's it.
Brian Pyle's been working on that agreement,
Okay.
so I hope to bring them to the next meeting to get them passed.
Perfect.
With Duckwater, so.
Sounds like a win.
We don't,
Okay.
Mike, we don't have to wait on those agreements to get that ambulance done, do we?
Nope.
That's
Okay,
wonderful.
we go ahead and put it down there.
Brad, I think the success seeing is reflective of the leadership that we have with you and Ross, and I just
I'll get
want
you
to
to agree.
let you know how much I appreciate that from both of you.
So, I will have that ambulance inspected, I gotta upgrade it to a advance, then it's gonna be done Friday, the inspection. So,
Cool.
we'll get it down there.
And give them a call when you're en route.
I just need to check on a couple things before it goes physically, but we don't have to wait for the action to get signed and filed and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important we get that, just get
I
that.
just have to double check one or two things and I'll let you know by
Okay.
tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so I can close the fire commission, do I need public comment in fire commission?
No.
Okay, we're gonna close the fire commission meeting, reopen the county commission meeting, and we're short of our next
Please,
timed items, so we can go on to,
Thank you, Brett.
thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Brad.
We can go on to page 4, and it would be item number 2. It's under Nicole Baldwin, the county clerk. Item A is discussion for possible action, approval of the request for an appointment from Gabia Smith to join LEPSI and the Golf Advisory Board. Any questions on appointment of Gabia? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
What spot is she filling on that?
In LEPC, she
Yeah.
wants, oh, I forgot to mention that, thank you for asking. The
Yes,
LEPC facet that she would be filling is a media role. So the media role is currently held by nobody because those people all quit. And LEPC is also needing a secretary. So she's calling herself a media role, willing to act as a public information liaison for LEPC.
So she's willing to take the minutes of the meetings as well.
And for golf, it's the women's golf facet there. The previous person, I think I forget who was previous.
Julie Gonzalez.
Julie,
Gonzalez.
she resigned
So
last year.
Shadrack's not on it anymore, because I think he was on the media.
Jerry Wapshaw was, and I
she
think
went off,
Shadrack.
and then Shadrack.
Shadrack might, he was an alternate, if, an alternate, so,
I couldn't remember, I'm sorry.
yeah,
that's
there's a
why-
lot of vacancies on LEPC,
Yes.
and she's willing to serve that board. I'm hoping you approve.
Any other questions about Gabia? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve Gabia to LEPSI and the Golf Advisory Board.
Move for approval.
Motion by Shane,
Second.
second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
None.
you.
Page 4, item C, department heads. Number 1A is Lori Romero, Senior Program Administrator. It's a discussion for possible action, the approval to accept NSIP supplement funding in the amount of $3,349 to be used for commodities with no county match required. Lori, are you on the phone, or do you want to speak to this? I think this is kind of standard, so I'll just look for a motion to accept the supplement.
Move to approve.
Motion by Travis and second by Lou. Second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passed unanimous. Page 4, item 2, Land Scale Airport Manager. Item A is discussion for possible action, the approval and ratification of the Ely Airport Federal DOT Airport Coronavirus Aid Relief Funding Grant. This CARES Act funding grant is in the amount of $20,000 and will be used for operational expenses at the Ely Airport and Yellen Field.
Move to approve.
Wait. Is there any backup to, so far as, is there any match?
No, there's not.
Elizabeth,
We went
did
over
this?
this all last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
there
think-
was, he did bring this forward, I did tell him he needed to bring it back for ratification because it was one of those last minute, here's the application, get it to the feds. My understanding is that there is no match requirement
Okay,
and that
that's
there is
the
no
only thing I-
restrictions on expenditures, so my anticipation is this will come into the general fund as supplemental funding to cover our costs out of the airport for operations.
That was, the match was where I was concerned, I didn't see anything on that.
Okay. Now I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Travis,
Second?
second by Anthony.
You guys, I think we just voted.
We voted.
No,
exactly.
We have enough seconds to make it
Oh,
unanimous.
You had me going for a second. Okay. A second by Ian, I'll give Ian a second. And, any other question, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, passed unanimous. Thank you, Hank. Item 4, page 4, item 3 is Christy Rosich, Aquatic Center Director. A is discussion for possible action, the approval of price and membership changes for the Aquatic Center. Christy, are you on the phone?
Good morning, how are you guys?
Good morning.
Good. Why don't you give us an update on this?
So a couple meetings ago, we approached the idea of slimming down our membership prices and a possible increase. So that'd be in everybody's favor, and Elizabeth and I have sat down. If you look in your backup, I have 2 forms here. One shows what we currently offer, and then what we've projected, what we're proposing today. Our biggest change is the fact that we took out our monthly memberships. Most people don't get those except for a small group, and we actually made a better option for them for classes. We stuck with the punch passes as our main selling point, and we made it a better, I'm missing the word, but a better option for everyone. And if you need a more clear look at what we would be offering, you can go to page 2 of your backup. Elizabeth, do you have anything that you'd like to address?
Well, I think what Chrissy's done is she's revised the structure to make it easier and simpler for people to handle, and actually, we're still not consistent with other smaller sized aquatic centers in rural Nevada, but we're coming closer, so we're still a little bit under that, but you don't wanna give sticker shock, especially in the current economic environment. So I think that her proposal looked good to me, and I would support her changes.
Commissioner, got a comment or anything on this? Then I would look for a motion to approve the price and membership changes at the Aquatic Center.
I'll move to approve.
A second?
Motion by Ian, second by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Pass unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Christie.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5, or page 5, excuse me. Item 4, Bill Calderwood, Public Works Director.
We need to let Bill back in. Who's coming?
Thanks. Okay. So 1 man in and 1 man out. Okay, we're on your item, Bill, item 4, which is a discussion for possible action, approval to place 2 signs in the Veterans Memorial Park as shown in the backup material.
Wrong agenda.
Those were so pretty,
Yeah, I've seen this
very nice.
on this time.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions. On the one shows the location. So that's over here in the far corner. There's some kind of a bare ground on the other side of the creek. That's where they would want to place them. Obviously, the dates on those signs will change. We're kind of looking for Veterans Day to do this, but we're just looking for approval for those placement of those signs.
Right, and the reason the dates were changed because all the events were canceled for the right home also. And Veterans Day was their next option, so anybody got any questions on allowing these signs in the county park? Or Veterans Park, excuse me. Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Lori and a second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. Item B is discussion for possible action, the approval of recommended construction bid. Oh, we're gonna wait on this, right, Bill? On the
I'm sorry,
the senior
lost.
center, it's the construction.
Yeah, they're still tabulating the bids.
We'll come back to item B. And let's do this because we're gonna run into a couple of things, and Tim's probably on the phone. Let's take a quick 5-minute break. We'll come back to the timed item for Ms. Song, is that her name? Yeah, the 10 o'clock timed item. So let's take a quick 5 minutes before we move on with the meeting. We'll come back and make sure she's on the phone line we'll be getting to her right at 10 o'clock. We'll make it 2 after. So take a quick break. We'll come back to page 3, item C.
Well,
Okay, we've got everybody in here. We're on page 3, item C. It's a 10 o'clock timed item, and we are going to welcome Lisa Song Sutton for CD4. She's a Republican. It's discussion presentation from Lisa Song Sutton, candidate for CD4 via Zoom. Lisa, are you on there?
Hi, yes, good morning.
Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the commission for allowing me to address you this morning. I certainly wish it could have been in person. I was just up there in February. After all of this, I definitely do look forward to getting back up to Ely soon. I'm an attorney turned entrepreneur. I started 4 companies in Southern Nevada in various industries: food and beverage, real estate, e-commerce, and shipping retail. I come from a military family. My father's a Vietnam veteran, and I grew up in a rural part of southeastern Arizona, about 40 miles north of the Mexican border. That experience helped solidify for my stance on secure borders and responsible legal immigration. My cousin Chris is a federal agent with ICE, and before that he served on the Arizona-Mexico border with Border Patrol for over 5 years. I've heard the kitchen table stories. You know, the men and women who are boots on the ground there, they need our support, they need resources, and you know, they're fighting the cartels, they're fighting human trafficking, they're fighting drug smuggling, and it's clear that border security absolutely affects all of our communities, not just along that southern border, but certainly here in Nevada as well, in our urban communities, in White Pine and others. My father, Robert, is a Vietnam veteran, and was retired from the Air Force. He works for the Department of Defense as the Chief of Army MARS, the Military Auxiliary Radio Systems, down in Fort Huachuca, which is where I grew up. My father taught me how to shoot at the age of 9, which built the foundation for my stance on our Second Amendment rights. As a child, I learned firearm safety and firearm responsibility, and as an adult, I'm a 2A advocate, and I volunteered with the Annie Oakley program, which is a program through the Nevada Firearms Coalition in Clark County. I'm proud to have an A rating from both the NRA and the Nevada Firearms Coalition, and I strongly believe that more stringent gun laws only end up affecting us, the law-abiding citizens. And I will absolutely defend our Second Amendment right for all Nevadans. I'm proud to have support from conservative leaders both on the national level, from Congressman Dan Crenshaw, and also national and local leadership, like our former Lieutenant Governor Lorraine Hunt Bono, Michelle Fiore, Amy Tarkanian, and others. Politics was never in the plan, but 2020 is the year for private sector individuals like myself to come off the sidelines, support President Trump, and help all Nevadans. I have a 10-year track record of giving back to the community through job creation and philanthropy. I've served on numerous security boards over the years without any political lean or agenda. And as a former Miss Nevada United States, I did nearly 500 community appearances around our state, volunteering in schools, working in hospitals, and working with countless nonprofits to improve the lives of all Nevadans. Effective communication is a cornerstone of the businesses that I have built, and I've found time and time again that it starts with listening and ends with feedback. Communication and accountability are absolutely foundations for success. My staff and my business partners know that my door as a representative, White Pine becomes my partner. And in order for us to build and learn and grow together, we will have to communicate and be accountable to one another. In my conversations with Travis and others within the White Pine community, it's clear that White Pine deserves a strong line of communication with our federal delegation. And as your rep, I will advocate for an expedient pathway to work with the local BLM office instead of having to rely on DC. We the appraisal process, and it shouldn't be the federal government the floor for these types of pricing and appraisal. It should be based on demand and market, owning your real estate brokerage. I'll fight for development opportunities, and that includes fighting abuses of the Endangered Species Act. And finally, I will support solutions that you as local leaders devise in relation to the needs of the community. We've had several conversations around diversification of your local economy, and as an entrepreneur and Nevada angel investor, I know firsthand how crucial diversification is and how best to support it. Thank you again for letting me address you this morning. I hope that I can earn your support, and I look forward to continuing that work. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Okay, that's, I don't think we have any discussion on that. Thank you,
Very proactive about reaching out to me and with the DA, and definitely a refreshing view as far as some of our past delegation that has all but been silent.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead on.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachis reporting.